Hi everyone. So it's just me and you, Sophie. So it's just going to be a one-to-one. So yeah. So welcome to today's workshop, which is going to be talking about plant-based. So also known as vegan. I'm going to talk about several different things. I've had a few questions. Oh, hi Bev. Let's get Bev on, shall we?
Sorry, I don't know how to use this app. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Good. Okay. So we've got Bev, we've got Sophie. If anyone else joins us, we will go through it. So, hey everyone. So obviously you can turn your mic on and stuff if I can hear you. Video would be greatly appreciated. If you can turn that on as well, and that way I can see you. But yeah, today's workshop is talking about being plant-based, also known as being vegan, and what the two differences between those are. I've been sent a couple of questions. Main one, and I hear this quite a lot. Where do you get your protein from? The other one is, how do you adapt to going from standard diets and nutrition and adapting yourself into becoming more plant-based and being vegan? And yeah, what is the differences between being vegan and plant-based? So if obviously you've got any questions or anything like that, please put them in the chat. So that's Sophie and Bev, or you can just turn your video on or your mic on and just wave your hand, and we can deal with questions as we go through. So hopefully I'll answer any questions that you may have on being plant-based. So the first one is going to talk about is what is the difference between being plant-based and vegan? Okay, so the first one is being plant-based is normally for your own personal health. And being vegan is in terms of being vegan for the animals. We're going to be talking about plant-based. So vegan normally has, hi Becca and Si, let's get them in as well. So hopefully the numbers pick up just a little bit. Oh, hi Becky, how you doing? You're right. Good. Just quick recap, what I'm going to be talking about today. I've had a few questions, so obviously if there's any questions at the end, we'll have some time for a bit of Q&A and stuff like that. So going to be covering what's the difference between being plant-based and vegan, because they are associated together, but what is the difference? Where do you get your protein from? Pretty standard question, but I get asked all the time. And also, how do I adapt to a plant-based diet and work our way through? So first one is plant-based and vegan. What is the difference? So plant-based is you're looking for health and your own personal health, and being vegan isn't necessarily about being healthy, it's about doing it for the animals as such. So that's more of a moral side of things, but we're not going to be talking about today that because that causes a lot of conflict. So we're going to stick with the plant-based side and talk about being healthy. So in terms of plant-based, you can be really like raw plant-based, and that means that you cut out oils and you cut out all processed food. You literally eat like vegetables and fruit and make your own oat milk and soy milks and all that kind of stuff. That's like the real sort of extreme sort of side of being plant-based. Then you have what most people are. And where most people are, they want to go plant-based because they think that it's being healthy and stuff like that. Now, when you go plant-based, it's a case of being adaptable to what it is that you have within your diet and what your nutrition is. So when you are plant-based, the goal is to have a really varied diet. So you don't want to be having just bananas every single day. You want to have all the fruits. You want to try something different. The vegetables, try stuff. That's the thing about being plant-based. And myself, I'm vegan, but I've tried more varied food since becoming plant-based than I did previously. Like I would eat the exact same foods pretty much every day. I would eat exactly the same foods, and my diet would be really awful. Like the day before I changed, I had steak and chips, and literally since that day, I I've eaten more vegetables than I ever would. Beforehand, I would be like, "Oh, I don't really like that." Now I like, I never used to like broccoli, absolutely hated it. And most likely because when people cook broccoli, they stick it in a load of water and overcook it for like 9 hours, and it's really horrible. Like, think Christmas dinners, that kind of stuff. Like, once I started cooking things in the right way, so like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, seasoning and stuff like that, like, I love vegetables now, to the extent where I will eat a pepper, like a bell pepper, as an apple, right? But beforehand, I wouldn't do that. Okay, so there is a transition. Like now, being plant-based, I would say that my sense of smell and taste has completely changed. And quite often, when a lot of people talk about it, they're like, "What about bacon, though?" And when originally, when I went plant-based, I'm vegan, I really miss the smell of bacon, like like having a bacon sandwich and stuff like that. Whereas now, I can't smell bacon. What I smell is grease and this and everything that it's cooked in, and that's what I now. So that's personal to me, in terms of being vegan and plant-based. So my smell and taste has completely changed, and actually, I really enjoy loads of different foods now. Oh, we're getting more numbers in! Yay! Wait for Roti to kick in. Good. So in terms of being plant-based and being vegan, one is more moral, doing it for the animals, and one is more based around healthy eating, fruit and vegetables, cutting down on your oils, and little things like that, and being able to make stuff. So that's the really extreme bit. But we want to be more, I say, every day. So in terms of every day, obviously you want to make sure that you're getting the fruit and veg in. That's the big one. And then if you want to do replacement meats and stuff like that, there are so many on the market nowadays, that you can have. But again, I would say it's more of a treat. So when you're having those, like say Beyond Burgers as an example, or something like that, don't have a burger every single day, because again, the I say the chemicals and stuff and things that they make out of these foods, a lot of them will be already in the foods that you already eat. But again, you don't want to be eating it all the time. So you want to naturally source where you're getting your food from. Which leads me on to my next point, or my next question, which was, it's the most common question that I get asked by everyone, and that is, where do I get my protein from? So I'm just going to share my screen for you in just one moment. So, so what we're looking at is, where do we get our protein from? So up on the screen here is different sources of protein. So so where do we get our protein from? So in direct comparison to, say, a chicken breast, chicken breast is about 125 grams, and you're going to roughly get somewhere between 20 to 30 grams of protein per 125 grams of chicken breast. So as you can see now, everything is listed on your page, is the different types of protein that you can get. So tempeh, made with soya beans, and it's hard pressed. Seitan, made from vital wheat gluten. So for me, I don't have any celiacs or anything like that kind of thing. So if you have any celiac or gluten intolerance, then I would avoid seitan, because it is literally made with wheat, vital wheat gluten. But the great thing about seitan is, if you haven't got those intolerances or celiacs, then it's such a low calorie, high, and I mean really high protein content. So you can eat quite a lot of it with low calorie and get your protein in per day. And it, for me personally, seitan is my go-to. Working our way down through those lists, as you can see here, don't worry about the Puriton vegan. I got this off a website, just a different list. I've been compiling this information, working my way through, and I completely forgot to add that one. So yeah, so where we're looking at, so kidney beans. Now, another one of my main go-tos is nutritional yeast. So with that, See, I'll talk about that as well in a moment. Where do you get your seitan from? It's a quick question from Becky. So we'll talk about that in a moment. So nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast, you can buy this little blue pots, and you'll find it within Tesco, Sainsbury's. You can buy it pretty much any supermarket. You can also order it off Amazon, and it will have B12 vitamins in there and other vitamins and things like that. So it's a really good source of getting stuff in. Now, nutritional yeast I use in sauces. I use in I sprinkle it on toast with some like butter on, obviously vegan butter, which Flora do a really nice butter. Sprinkle it on that nutritional yeast, and that gives me, again, use quite a bit of it, so I'm most likely getting that 10 grams of protein in. Where else in terms of vegan? So as you can see, they're lentils, so you got your oats, your chickpeas, and a lot of stuff. As you can see here, as we work our way down, looking through these different lists, you're going to see a lot of foods that you most likely already have. So as you can see here, like you've got green peas. If I highlight just on here, those green peas, again, 6 grams of protein per 100 grams. All right, so hopefully after today, you would have realized that actually there's a lot of protein in foods that you already eat. So you don't need to just eat, I would say, animal products to get your protein in. Now, one very important thing with your protein intake, a lot of vegan or plant-based protein sources aren't complete. So we have essential amino acids, and there's 9 of them, which basically our body doesn't produce. So we need to get that in through our diet. Now, this is where the varied diet comes in. So a lot of people, they just go, they eat their chicken, they eat their beef, and they're getting their 9 essential amino acids, or they have eggs, which have that in. And people are like, yeah, but you know, I only have to eat this. Well, you just eat that one piece of food, and yes, you're getting that protein in, but where's all your other vitamins and minerals and everything else coming in? Whereas I have to think a bit more about where my protein comes from, and I vary it up, and it's very diverse of where I get my protein from, and that gives me those 9 essential amino acids, which give me that complete protein intake. My diet's varied. It's interesting. That's the thing that I really enjoy about being vegan, is that my diet is constantly varied. I can get my protein in from where I want. I change recipes. I enjoy different types of food, and everything along those lines. So that for me is really, really important. One bit on here, which is really, really nice, is, for example, so if you look at mushrooms and spinach, now a lot of people are like, yeah, but you only get your protein from meat. No, everything has protein in it. Okay, so it might be minuscule, it might not be a lot, but you do get your protein in. So, like, for example, you got at the bottom of that page, you've got asparagus, you've got broccoli, you've got kale, 2.9 per 100 grams of protein. Now, spinach, and I love this one, 500 grams of spinach, massive bag, cook it down, it shrinks right down, and you suddenly got like, well, you got like nearly 10 grams of protein, and actually it's not that big. It fills you up as well. So again, mushrooms, all of these different foods, they're really, really useful, great sources of getting your protein in. So, for example, again, if we scroll back up, where is it? Oats. So as you can see there, 50 grams of porridge oats, you're going to get about 8 to 10 grams of protein. Again, for that, you're going to get a really good carb hit as well, and also get your protein in this. You know, you need those carbs, you need protein, and you need your fats. They all work together. They help each other get to the right muscles and fuel that body. So you don't want to be cutting down loads on those carbs. That's your energy source. You want to have your protein as well, making sure you're getting the foods in. And one of the greatest things that I found is that being on a vegan diet, looking after myself, and being fit, I stay fairly lean pretty much all year round, and I maintain that same weight. but it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy foods. So one of the biggest questions is, well, you know, you just got to eat standard foods. Well, I eat pizza, Domino's, do vegan options. What else? Papa John's do vegan options, and they do a cheese stuffed crust. Oh, it's lovely. Right. So I still enjoy my foods. I still get to eat the things that I used to eat. It's just that I adapt what I do. So for me, I eat soya, and I get dehydrated soya, and that I add to like a lasagna mix or a mince or something along those lines. Again, that allows me to get my protein in, and I still can eat a lasagna. Like, there's my diet has not changed that much. I still enjoy a really good roast on a Sunday. And to be honest, I, like in terms of a meat replacement, I might have a meat replacement, or do you know what? I have all the trimmings just with lots of gravy on. And just to let you know, Bisto is vegan, it's plant-based. So there's a lot of food out there which is, we like to call it secretly vegan. So if you enjoy Oreos, then Oreos, they're vegan as well. So all these different things, all these different foods that you can have, you just got to pay more attention to what you're doing. So in terms of where you get your protein from, obviously you got this list, which is a great source just of where you can get everything from. A lot of people are like, yeah, but I don't want to eat beans all the time. Well, you don't have to. There's other stuff that you can get the protein from. Oh, I don't want to be eating tofu all the time. Well, no, eat something different. You don't have to eat the same foods. My diet, compared to what it was, is so much more interesting and so much more exciting. And I try more different recipes. Like I literally, I see a new recipe, I give it a go. And yeah, I would say that my diets is so much more varied. Beforehand, I just used to eat the same thing over and over and over again. So yeah, so where are we at? So let's have a quick look. What was the question again? So right, so Becky, you said that basically, where do you get your seitan from? I make it. So, oh, Sophie, what do you eat on a typical day? Okay, I like that. Good. So seitan, I make it. One of the greatest things I have, like, as my source of information, is Pinterest. Pinterest is great, absolutely great. You can literally type in there vegan seitan, all that kind of stuff, recipes and things, and it brings up stuff. You also have to scroll down past all the rubbish where people talk about loads of stuff and you just want to get to the recipe and make it. That's literally what I do. I see, oh, that looks a nice picture. That sounds quite nice. I'm going to give that a go. And in terms of making seitan, yeah, it takes a little bit of time. Takes a little bit of time. You have to order your vital wheat gluten, but make quite a bit of it, and you can put it in the fridge and it'll last quite a while. You make it in broth, so seitan takes on the flavour of whatever you're cooking it in. So if you want it to be chicken flavour, which, to be fair, chicken seasoning, majority of the time, unless it's got milk in, will be plant-based. Same with beef. A lot of all of that is just seasonings, and you just basically add it to the broth and cook it within that, and it takes on that flavour. Do a really nice chorizo seitan, which is lovely, and you can just eat slices of it, which is really, really nice. Or, like I said, like a chicken kind of replacement. So yeah, so Pinterest is the greatest thing. Find a recipe on there, give it a go. It takes a little bit of time, but actually it's so satisfying, being able to do it. And once you get used to it, it doesn't take that long to prepare. You can literally do it sort of about an hour, depending on how you're going to cook it, either a broth or oven it or something along those lines. So yeah, so where do we eat plant-based meals? Ooh, okay. So yeah, so in terms of seitan, I make it, but I'm going to let you into on the little thing. So we're talking about treats, right? So in terms of treats, If obviously living around Altrincham, if you want to try, and this is like I say, go to, if you go to Gombe, down the Downs, is it on the Downs? You go there and you order their vegetarian chicken, and that's made out of seitan. And it's one of the best seitans I've ever had. And I try and replicate it, and I can't. Seitan is a staple of quite often is in Chinese diet. They make it really, really well. In the areas which are vegetarian, they make seitan, and it's delicious, absolutely delicious. I'll definitely recommend that as a treat meal. I go for their vegetarian chicken in green and black bean sauce. So what do I eat typically in a day? So what do I eat typically during a day? So like in the morning, I will quite often, I'm just going to stop sharing now. Let's go back to that. So what do I typically eat during a day? So in the morning, I will get up, have a coffee, and my normal breakfast, I will have bagel, sesame bagel, and then with some butter on, and then I have nutritional yeast. That's normally what I have during the breakfast. If I know that I'm going to have a really, really busy day, then I have a bagel with jam and peanut butter on, and that sort of thing. Then lunchtime, depending on if I'm making it myself, I'll make a sandwich and use a mock meat. So you have like smoked ham and vegan chicken, that kind of thing, or some of the other items. I'll make a sandwich and have a sandwich, and then for dinner, again, depends on what I'm doing during the day and how busy I am. But one of the things that I do is I do a lot of batch cooking. So I'll make myself a chili, or I do like a really nice lentil dal, and normally I'll make that on a day where I'm going to be in all day, and I'll really slow cook it, and that's amazing. And then naan breads I get from Asda. They do like these massive ones, and they're vegan, because naan bread's normally made with yogurt. You can make your own naan breads again. Since becoming plant-based and vegan, I would say that I've made more food. I've never really cooked bread before until I became plant-based and vegan. And yeah, I tried making naan breads. They came out okay, sort of thing. But again, I kind of basically experiment with him in terms of dinners, but I try and batch cook a lot of stuff so that I have 2 or 3 meals sort of thing kind of lined up, and then obviously I freeze or put stuff in the fridge for it last quite a while, that kind of thing. So the batch cooking is really, really useful, and yeah, especially if I'm trying out a new meal or something along those lines. If I like it, I'll make it again, and then that way I can have it later on during the week. Yeah, as I said, sometimes I snack on fruit and veg, and then as well, there's a lot of stuff compared to when I first went vegan plant-based, which is now what, 4 years ago now. The options that were available were really, really small. Now the options are so much better, but I still try and stay fairly close to being like as much fresh fruit and veg as possible. And I use MyFitnessPal to make sure that I'm getting enough calories in, recording what my protein is for the day and that kind of thing, and also recording meals, what I know when I take it out the fridge, how much I'm having roughly, and that kind of thing. So I hope that answers that question. And then I think, where was the question? So, okay, so plant-based milks. In terms of my preference, I would say that Oatly Barista is my preference within coffee. That's my go-to, and then it's soya milk, which I have quite often. So obviously, if I go to Costa or to Grand Teas or anything like that. Actually, let's change that. If I go to Costa and most other places, I will go for soya milk because it's unsweetened. If you go for the oat milk or almond milk, everything seems to be really sweetened. So it doesn't sit right with me at all. And it's just really ruins the flavor of the coffee. But Grand Teas, they do Oatly. So if I know somewhere does Oatly, that's what my preference will be. In terms of oat milk, a bit more to the question, good for different things, cooking or drinking, etc. So in terms of cooking and drinking, Oatly Barista is the main one that I will go to. Now, Oatly Barista or oat milk is quite calorific. So 100 mils of oat milk, don't quote me on this, is about 160 calories, maybe, without checking the packaging. Almond milk. Now, if you want low calorie, almond milk is your go-to. Now, quite a lot of people, when they talk about almond milk, they'll be like, yeah, but what about it needs loads of water for everything, and it's the consumption and all this kind of stuff, and it's really bad. Well, actually, if you want to compare everything, like compare it to how much water and land you need to feed the animals and things like that. So, but then that gets more into the sort of side of veganism, which people get really caught up in, and it becomes quite passionate and angry and stuff. So let's knock it back on that. Low calorie almond milk. I used to make if I'm making, say, porridge oats or something like that. Surprisingly, I don't use Oatly. I use almond milk, which is really, really nice. I prefer that, and I go for unsweetened. Quite often, if it's sweetened, then I won't have that as a milk. For me, it just doesn't work. But yeah, that's basically sort of in terms of milks and things and stuff like that. So yeah, um, so yeah. If you've got any other questions or anything like that, then I'm gonna open it up to you guys. So we've got Rosie, we've got Becca, we've got Sophie and Bev. If you've got any questions, then turn your mic on. We'll just sit in silence.
What made you go plant-based?
Oh, good question. So me and my partner at the time, my baby girl, she was born, and we found that she was bringing up a lot of her milk, regurgitating and stuff like that. And we read basically about it, and we've been talking about possibly changing to being plant-based vegan at some point. And we weren't really sure, we weren't changing diet or anything like that, but basically we cut out dairy, we cut out basically dairy, eggs, dairy, and all of that kind of stuff first. We noticed within like a couple of days, like literally Evelyn, my little girl, she stopped bringing up breast milk. So then we carried it on, and we cut out all animal products and stuff like that, and we found then that actually Evelyn was keeping down any milk that she was having. We hardly ever had to wind her. She was, without being too graphic, but like when she went to the toilet, everything was pretty normal. It wasn't really smelly. It wasn't random colors or anything like that. So yeah, so dramatically a massive change for her. Now for me, I used to have really bad sinus problems, like to the extent where I would have to double up on antihistamines, take Sudafed pretty much every day, ibuprofen, took all of those things. And literally the moment I cut out all dairy, and I mean, most people cut out like milks and then they forget about cheese, which is a massive one. And for me, my sinuses completely cleared up within, again, 2-3 days. I could start breathing through my nose, and I wasn't really affected by allergies. And for me, it's dramatic. Now I take an antihistamine every now and again, when when it's rained and everyone's cut their grass and there's a real high pollen count. But yeah, for me, health benefits wise, within 2 or 3 days was dramatic, and that's what convinced me to carry on. And now 4 years down the line, even though me and my partner are no longer together, I'm still plant-based, I'm still vegan. And everyone was like, well, he's going to change, he's going to have a steak. And yeah, I haven't. Which actually leads me on to, how do you adapt, become plant-based and vegan? Well, do it bit by bit. So what we did was we made a rule up in the house, but basically we weren't going to buy any more animal products, food wise and stuff like that, but we would consume what was already in the house. So we had, we had some burgers and we had stuff in the freezer and all that kind of thing. So it was a gradual process, and we just started off with obviously milk, like that went within the day. We replaced that. There was a block of cheese, we finished that, we replaced that. And that's what we basically did. We gradually made those changes through our diet, so it became every day. But to start off with, I would recommend anyone to just have one day being vegan or plant-based. That's a great question. Yeah, so in terms of making that change, one day at a time, then 2 days, then 3 days, 4 days, and that gradual process, I think that gives the best benefit for people to make that change, because a lot of the time we don't know how to cook. And this isn't, I don't want this to be offensive to anyone, but I've gone to restaurants and they haven't got a vegan option, and I say, right, what can you make? And they're like, we don't know, we can do you some pasta with some tomato sauce. They're chefs. So this is people who are actually trained, and they struggle to make vegan food, to everyday people who don't cook all the time, as in different recipes, are going to obviously struggle. So how do you do that? You don't literally go, right, okay, from today to the next day, I'm going to change my diet and everything, and I know everything. Well, that's impossible. I'm still learning now, and this is 4 years down the line. So change it gradually. And personally, I found, by literally, right, I can eat that until it's gone, or consume that until it's gone, then I'll replace it. And that's, for me, I found that the best way to transition into being plant-based, and not doing it all overnight. Because we all know, if we just do something dramatically overnight, give it a week, when we're struggling. So yeah. So the next question is, how do I survive summer barbecues? Well, to be honest, in terms of having barbecues, I would say that I'll take my own food. Not my own food, but like I'll take my own burgers, and like Beyond Burgers or sausages and things like that. And everyone that I know who I've gone for a barbecue with, they literally, like, they all know. So we keep it separate, just like a part of the grill. But I also know that there will be some cross-contamination. It's not the end of the world. Like, they're cooking their food and I want to enjoy it with them, so here's my food. And that, they're not directly in contact. And in terms of cross-contamination, you're going to get some, but it's not the end of the world. The other thing as well is that, barbecue sweet corn on the cob, like tinfoil, chuck it on the embers. Vegetable kebabs, I love them. They're really, really good. And you know what, like, having a burger at a barbecue, you can now get cheese, which is great. So that's great. But what makes a burger? Is it necessarily meat, or is it all the condiments that you fill up on it? So it's the cheese, the mayo, the burger sauce, the onions that you've been frying in oil. Like, all of those things really, really help make a burger or make your barbecue. So, now I would say, but beforehand, I would go to a barbecue, I would eat meat, meat, and I would avoid the salads. Whereas now, potato salad, burgers. Again, my diet is so much more varied, and I'm getting all my vegetables, I'm getting all my vitamins, my minerals from loads of different sources. And I love it. Absolutely love it. I love a great barbecue. Sometimes the smell, personally, it can be a little bit strong. But you know what? It's down to everyone's choice. Like, if you want to go plant-based, great. If you don't want to go plant-based and eat what you want to eat, great. Like, it's all personal choice. All I would say is try and have at least 1 or 2 days where you just animal free in terms of meat free, and that way you're making sure that you're getting a varied diet in, and that's the important bit. So yeah. Any other questions? Any other questions? Got about 10 minutes, so if you want to ask me anything, always in. Do you think that's answered your questions? Is there anything else that you feel like you could do with knowing about being plant-based? As I said, Pinterest is a great source for recipes and information and stuff. All right, Bev. So, what's the best vegan chocolate? For me, and again, same with most chocolates, it's a personal preference. But for me, it's Nomo. Nomo salted, sea salted caramel. The blue, one of the blue bars. That's really nice. They also do a caramel bar which has got a soft center. That's really good. In terms of vegan chocolate, in terms of like a direct milk chocolate bar replacement, you're not going to get that, but you're going to find that you're going to start liking dark chocolate with a lot of stuff. But yeah, Nomo for me is the best chocolate. There are some foods out there, and this is what I think, when people try stuff, unfortunately they try some of the really horrible stuff, and you're just like, well, I'm not going to eat that because that's rubbish. But there's some really, really good, and it's getting better all the time. Bosch do like vegan Galaxy. Yeah, so yeah, the Galaxy vegan orange chocolate is nice. But again, in terms of expense, when you go plant-based and vegan, if it says plant-based or vegan on it, the joys of being that is that there is a little bit of a vegan hidden tax where you pay a little bit more for stuff, mostly because they have one factory and they need one side of it. They've got to keep that completely clear and everything, and one side will be producing their normal stuff and stuff. So there is an expense to it. So obviously the more that you can stay in that center part with the vegetables and the fruits and stuff, actually that's really cheap. You can do a really good week's shopping, really dirt cheap. Pastas, rice, and that to bulk everything out is really, really good. Other chocolates and stuff like that. So as I said, I might mention, you might have heard Oreos. Most Oreos are vegan. Double check the ingredients. There's biscuits and stuff now. So if you like the fruit shortcakes, the round one with little bits of currants and raisins, they're vegan. You've got some jellied sweets. You've got Roundtrees, which are doing fruit pastels. They're vegan now. But remember, if you want to go down a real pure plant-based, you want to stay away from the processed food. If you're doing it for the more, then obviously the processed food, but we're general people, so I will put you somewhere in the middle if you want to try it. So you're looking at those meat replacements, and that sort of thing, and it makes things easier to make that transition. Like I do a fake chicken and mushroom pie, which my dad, who is 65, 66, every time he's had it, he's like, you just wouldn't know. You just wouldn't know. And that's with a chicken. I think it's naked glory chicken. I quite like that one. Fry it off a little bit before you cook it in the pie and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, in terms of chocolate, again, it's personal preference. But for me, no. Any other questions? Still got another couple of minutes. Don't hold back. Don't all shout at once. So yeah, so hopefully today's chat has answered a few questions in regards to being You covered everything I was wondering about. Thank you so much. No worries. So yeah, it's if you've got any questions or anything like that, then you can Facebook message me. You can not get me on Instagram because I'm not on Instagram. You can message me otfcoachtom@gmail.com. Any questions like that, I'm quite happy to talk about and help. But yeah, top recommendations: Pinterest for recipes. I think it's a great place because people try stuff, and some things I've tried really horrible, and some things I'm like, no, that's going straight into my list of recipes. And yeah, I cook loads of curries, chilies, stews. I make lasagnas. I do all of the normal stuff that you basically make, and that in terms of most foods I can do a direct replacement for it, and I really enjoy it. And as I said, I was literally the biggest meat eater that you would ever know, but that's all I ate. I hardly ever touched any vegetables, whereas now, yeah, I really enjoy them. Yeah, so yeah, so thank you very much for joining me for the plant-based workshop slash chat. It might not be like everyone else's where it's all slides and all that kind of stuff and things, but I think with this one, it's about exploring and finding what suits you best. So make the choice. Give yourself a couple of days a week where you're just purely non-animal products. Give it a go. If you like it, carry on. If you don't, it's all good, man. But anyway, take care, everyone. And it's been an absolute pleasure. I will see you all soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers, Sophie. Bye. Thanks, Bev. Take care, Becky.
Bye.
Bye.